right?
Excuses. We're going to crush. Oh, so what are we doing today? Thank you, Maddie. We are doing tough love. Now, tough love, I'm going to do it with a little bit of a slower edge. Normally, I'm like spitting fire. Okay. But this is just really the opportunity for you to tell me what your excuses are. Tell me what you think or what you perceive is holding you back. And then basically, I get a can of whoop ass and I open the can of whoop ass and I spray kicking ass all over you. If that's a thing. That sounds kind of wrong in some kind of mysterious, mystical way.
I got one.
Oh, we got one. But let me just tell you. So, tough love. I'm going to give it to you hard. I'm going to give it to you fast. I'm going to give it to you, probably how you need it. Because every now and then, we all need a good kick up the ass. Over to you, Maddie.
All right, here we go. We got a question, actually. Chef Haddon, I've always wanted to know if you have a temper, and how do you rein a temper in?
Ooh, do I have a temper? I guess it's how you define. I think everybody has a temper if you can find the right button. And I would certainly put myself in that category. Where I probably am most volatile, this is going to sound really bearing my soul here, is in the car. Like I am, I wouldn't say I'm an aggressive driver, but I get annoyed at stupidity, because you can't fix stupid. I'm sorry, you can't in a car, but you can. So let's be a little bit kind. Do I have a temper? No. Do I have the potential to have a temper? Yes. Have I ever had anger issues? Yes, in my teens, I was quite aggressive. I was a bit of a fighter. I was a brawler for a number of years. But the way that I actually did that in a healthy way is I got involved in fight sports. And so I wasn't typically doing it on the street, although there was a period of time where I was involved in the private security industry for a number of years, where I worked at some of the most violent venues in Brisbane at the time, and I was part of a cleanup crew. And so I have been exposed to an unusual amount of aggression and an unusual amount of violence. And I use that as a way for me to express myself in a legal way that was perhaps a little bit unhealthy. But that being said, as I've grown up and as I've matured, as I said, I think everyone's got a temper depending on if they can find your button or not. Anger is very much value orientated. What I mean by that, if someone compromises a value that is very deep to you, then it's in most cases going to trigger a very physical and in some cases energetic response on the spectrum of anger that could be very high, which on one end of the spectrum you've got violence, and on the other end of the spectrum, or in the middle of the spectrum you've got verbage or verbal abuse, and on the lower end of the spectrum you've got aggression that can be directed internally. Because sometimes people have a temper and they're very aggressive, but they don't express it. They direct it inwards and they chew themselves up. I think it was some spiritual dude said, when we hold on to, it was good. Titnan something or other. Talking about holding on to anger. When we hold on to resentment, we poison ourselves in spite of someone else. Something like that. But anyway, the way that I regulate emotion now, but I should also round off by saying I don't treat anger any different than I treat any other form of emotion. To me, any emotion left unconscious, left unchecked, has the ability to cause chaos, including high levels of excitement and happiness. Now, I'm not talking about peace and joy, where you just have this peaceful, joyous nature about yourself, but people who get ecstatically happy, that in itself has the potential to be just as chaotic as aggression, because when we're ecstatic and we're happy, oftentimes, we've got adrenaline coursing through our veins, we've got, we're flooded with dopamine and, a little bit of serotonin and sometimes some norepinephrine. And in those situations, sometimes we can actually neglect to consider downsides of behaviours that we might demonstrate, which can cause its own set of issues. So whether it's high levels of excitement, whether it's high levels of sadness, or feelings of depression or loneliness or feelings of anger, I regulate in the same way. First things first, when I'm conscious of it, first things first, you've got to be aware of what your baseline is. You've got to know what it feels like not to be in an emotional state, not to be stressed. Because I think the challenge for a lot of people is they spend so much of their life being angry that they don't know when they're not. Or I should say, actually that made no sense. Some people spend so much time of their life being angry that they actually think that's just what their normal baseline is. They think just being angry all the time is just being normal. And so for me, when it comes to regulating any form of emotion, because that was ultimately the question, wasn't it? How to regulate.
Yeah, how to rein it in.
Rein it in, regulate it. We've first got to be conscious of what our baseline feels like. What does it feel like to be absent of emotion? What does it feel like to be absent of stress? When we know what that feels like, then we are conscious of when we are angry, when we are feeling sad, depressed, lonely, or in some cases angry. And when we become conscious of it and go, wow, I'm actually in an emotion right now, because most people experience an emotion, but they don't have that level of consciousness where they go, oh, I'm experiencing emotion right now. They're just in it. for fuck's sake, they're in it and they're feeling it and they're aggressive. Whereas for me, I try and stay above myself as much as possible. I try to keep a higher perspective to go, oh, shivers, I'm feeling levels of aggression coming up right now. Like I'm feeling like I need to reach over the table and choke Maddie. And when I'm conscious of that, which never happens, when I'm conscious of that, then I go, ooh, okay, I am aware that I'm experiencing an emotion right now that is not necessarily going to serve me at the highest level. And so the second thing I do, step 1 is awareness. Step 2 is I breathe. I take nice deep breath. In for 6, hold for 6, out for 6. And I use autonomic breathing, because autonomic breathing, when you breathe in this way, and you can also combine different types of hyperventilation, deep breathing and holding and forcing air out. But when you understand autonomic breathing, a great person to study on that is Wim Hof, with the Wim Hof method. You actually have the ability to completely reset the autonomic system and literally drive stress out and drive emotion out of your system by using the breathing technique. So step 1, become aware. Step 2, breathe. Step 3, manage the meaning of the situation. Why am I angry right now? Because something's just happened. Like, well, let's just look at it. Maybe it's not necessarily something that I should choose to be angry about. Maybe it's actually something that I can choose to be grateful about. Because if I sit there and ask myself, if I look at the stimulus that made me angry and I ask a few questions, like, what is the benefit of this? How is this serving me? What skills, knowledge, and experience am I gaining from this that I didn't have yesterday? That I now have as a result of this stimulus, you start to actually logically and psychologically produce reasons why you can feel gratitude versus feeling, in some cases, aggression or emotion or whatever it is. And when you start experiencing gratitude, the biochemical cascade is incredible. Like, your body starts increasing high levels of DHEA. DHEA is anti-carcinogenic, so it fights cancer. It increases your immune system. It builds muscle tissue, gives you more energy. It's neuroprotectant. And as a result, instead of feeling anger, which is filled with cortisol and adrenaline, which is carcinogenic, which can create damage within our neurons and our cells. Instead of breaking ourselves down, we can build ourselves up. When we start looking at the situations and circumstances beneficially, we can start experiencing high levels of gratitude naturally, and then we can start becoming, use processes that would normally make someone angry and break them down and feel curiosity and build yourself up. And then last but not least, move, some sort of physical movement. I find if you sit there and you dwell on something, oftentimes it's hard to kick it, but if you stand up, go for a walk, move around, get the blood flowing and everything else, it can be something that can be, in most cases, very helpful. Hopefully that helped, my friend. Not much kicking ass in that. You want to choose something I can kick someone's ass on?
Linda Marie Fisher. How do you stop making excuses and terminate employees who refuse to perform and really just don't fit the performance heights of the rest of your team without feeling guilty?
Fucking fire them. How do you, honestly, I should write I honestly need to build a program on how to fire someone effectively. Look, the reality is, first things first, you've got to understand the level of damage that you're doing, the example that you're setting, the standard that you're upholding as a result of holding on to people that don't perform is disgraceful. You literally enable other people to perform at higher levels by paying people not to perform. Like, imagine this, imagine hiring someone, bringing them in, and they don't perform, and you pay them anyway. And as a result, by virtue of you paying them, you're literally endorsing them, you're endorsing their performance to the entire rest of the team, saying, guys, if you do not perform, you will still have a job here and you will still get paid. Now, I know there are certain fucking legal requirements that we have to abide to, and honestly, I think it's a fucking joke. We should be able to sack whoever we want if they're not performing. That being said, whenever we look at any form of termination, the first thing we do is we talk to, the company that provides us legal advice, which is EmploySure. Shout out to EmploySure. Tell them that I sent you. You'll get a great discount. And what that does is it gives us a legal basis to understand, okay, what are the legal rights of both parties? And then how do we actually navigate the process of deselection and exit? So for us, when someone doesn't fit, we apply pressure. If they're not performing, we apply pressure. And not pressure in the forms of, we apply pressure in the forms of expectation. There's no aggression, there's no bullying, it's just we apply a pressure through expectation of performance. And if they don't make it, you sit down and have the conversation. So how do you think you're going? Do you think you're performing at the level that is required in order to keep your job here? Okay, is there anything we can do in order to support you and provide you to help you perform at a high level? And whatever they tell you, you help, you support, as long as it's reasonable. You give them that. And then by the next conversation, well, listen, we've given you everything that you've asked for. What do you think is the right next step? Do you think that you're a good fit for this culture? And if you apply pressure in the right way, which is moral and ethical, I'm not talking bullying and aggression, 99% of cases, people will self-select and go, you know what? I'm actually not a fit for this culture. But there is a level of, you've got to draw a line in the sand and have a fucking standard. Have a standard for your business. Have a standard for yourself. Because imagine this. Imagine being in a relationship with someone who is abusive. Okay, but you're too afraid, which is common for many people. You're too afraid, okay, to get out of the relationship because you have some level of fear. That is not logical or rational. Yet a lot of people do it because it becomes the standard. It becomes the baseline. Elevate your level of self-worth. You're fucking worth more than that. You're worth more than having people around you that pull you down. Business is hard fucking enough as it is without bringing on fucking staff members that act like an anchor and hold everyone down and pull everyone back. Were they from Australia? Because fucking hell, I'm mad about this. Because honestly, I think the standard in many countries, Australia specifically, like I'll be very honest with you, I love employing immigrants. I really do. Now I might cop a little bit of flack for that, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. The reason I love employing immigrants is because most times immigrants are coming in from countries where they don't have the same opportunities that we have in this country. You know, in this country, you can't die of starvation. Like literally, I can't think of, unless someone is, you know, it's a child being neglected and locked in a cupboard, it is literally impossible in this country to die from starvation. Okay, because the level of the resources, the support, the welfare, the social aspects of the government that is provided to people who don't, we pay people not to have jobs. We literally condition people to become lazy in this country. So as far as I'm concerned, if someone's not performing, you fucking put the hard line on them. You literally have the conversation, you start applying ethical and moral pressure in the form of expectations. You ask them what is required in order for them to perform and increase their level of performance. You give them whatever is reasonable that they request, and if they still don't perform, then they have to go. Okay, because the reality is, as I said, to loop back, business is hard enough. Business is fucking hard enough without having to carry dead fucking weight that hold this country and hold this economy and hold the global economy down. If you don't fucking perform, you don't deserve a job, okay? In my opinion, you don't deserve a job. That doesn't mean you should starve because, as I said, in most civilized countries, it's very hard to do that. But there's got to be a standard. And the standard should be set where there's a level of expectation where you have to fucking perform. Because frankly, I am fucking sick of people coming into workplaces, not performing, and then trying to use legislation and law to keep their jobs when they're just fucking idiots. Oh my God, I'm losing my shit over this one. This one really pisses me off. Hold the stand, draw a line. I'm not sure if we can republish this one now. Draw a line, hold the standard, and just enforce it. And do it by the law in a moral and ethical way. Woo! Sponsored by Employsure.
All right, next up, we got Sarah Jane Hewitt. I'm struggling with the fact that I'm a hairdresser with a home salon. I have no want to grow any bigger because I struggle with mental exhaustion dealing with too many women. She doesn't want to grow bigger. Okay,
you struggle with mental exhaustion. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Keep doing what you're doing. But my advice is start engaging in activities where you can condition yourself to be able to deal with higher levels of stress. Okay, this is called stress conditioning. And stress conditioning, see, a lot of people experience mental exhaustion as a result of, stress. And so as a result, they go, well, stress is bad. I need to live a stress-free life and remove as much stress as possible. I actually completely disagree with that. Now, I'm not saying you should throw yourself into a high level of stress if you experience mental exhaustion and burnout very easily. But what I am saying is you should introduce lower levels of stress into your life so that you can start to condition your biology, so that you can start to condition your neurology, so that you can start to condition your biochemistry to start dealing with stress. Because here's what I've learned about stress. If you take someone who experiences high levels of mental exhaustion and they can't experience, they have to really manage their stress levels, you expose them to 20 minutes of stressful stimulus, they're going to probably shut down. But if you expose that person to 1 minute of stressful stimulus, they're probably going to be able to get through it. And if you expose yourself to 1 minute of stressful stimulus every day for 10 days, at the end of 10 days, that 1 minute you'll be able to stretch to a minute and a half. And that minute and a half will be able to stretch to eventually 2 minutes. And then before you know it, you're able to expose yourself to 10 minutes worth of stress, 20 minutes worth of stress, 30 minutes worth of stress. Before, in some cases, you can do it for a couple of hours at a time. But here's my advice. Treat stress like you would treat exercise. Don't just throw yourself in and try and do as many reps as possible. The goal is not to go to failure. The goal is to go to a point where you feel satiated, which means, okay, I'm feeling a level of stress here where I feel like I can deal with it, but if I go any further forward, I'm going to break down, and then you pull yourself back. But you don't win in life by holding yourself back. You don't win in life by trying to remove all stress from it, because you literally become a victim of your own circumstance. And then you get 30 seconds worth of stressful stimulus and you can't handle it and you do experience mental exhaustion. And I hope I'm connecting the dots here in the right way. But my advice is don't avoid the world by having a home salon. I know, I've got clients that experience, a great incomes as a result of having home businesses and even home salons. So it doesn't mean that you can't experience high levels of success in your life, but you've got to do the level of training that's required. When most people, rock up to be a Navy SEAL, they don't have necessarily the capabilities to perform at the levels that's required. They condition these guys, because if you take most guys on day one of SEALs training and you drop them into a war zone in Afghanistan, and I'm talking zero baseline, no pre-training, nothing, these guys would absolutely, completely melt down. They wouldn't know how to function. They wouldn't be able to, in most cases, probably reload their weapon, let alone clear a jam. So what they do is over a period of, of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, they spend an awful amount of money to slowly expose these guys to increasing levels of stress whilst having to maintain composure and process-orientated behaviours. Okay, so they expose them to stress and get them to do activities. Don't just expose them to stress and say, okay, just sit there and feel the stress. No, expose you to stress, okay, now clear a jam. Expose you to stress, okay, now clear a jam, reload your weapon, fire 3 times at that target, fire 2 times at that target, transition to your other weapon, fire at that target, okay, clear a jam. And they gradually build up the ability to deal with processes under stress. Because stress, for most people, it creates an inability to process information and behave in a very functional way. Whereas if you do it and you condition yourself to be able to experience over time, it's going to be something that you can deal with very easily. So my advice is don't hide yourself from stress, just learn how to condition yourself. And Greg, there's a great book that's called The Power of Full Engagement. I strongly recommend you check it out.
I'm going to go to Instagram now.
Ooh, Instagram. Get over to Instagram right now. We're going to do something cool. We're going to do a lightning round for Tough Love. I have been quite calm, except for that. There was a little one in there. But it is Tough Love. So if you want to get onto... get on the gram. Get on the gram. Get onto Instagram. We're going to finish Tough Love with a lightning round. Love you guys. Let me know where you are. Let me know, let me know stuff. This is awesome. You guys are coming through from everywhere. All right. Now, going to Instagram. All right, what do I do?
Go to the top there.
Go to the top.
Giving them hope.
This is giving you hope right now. Aha, live. Start live video. There we go. So am I finishing on Facebook? Yep. Love you guys. See you next time. Say hi to your mum for me. Instagram. What the is going on? Welcome to Tough Love Lightning Round, where we are basically, handing out free cans of whoop ass. And conquering your excuses, crushing your excuses, conquering your excuses, crushing them, and basically giving you a good kick up the arse. Everybody needs a good kick up the arse every now and then. Let's be honest.
We got Catherine. Machine.
Catherine.
A favorite. What's the best way to get out of distraction loops?
How do we get out of a distraction loop? Did you know? On average, most entrepreneurs on average experience anywhere between 2 to 3 hours of distraction per day. Now, when you times that by 365 days and you divide it by 5-day business weeks, you get somewhere between 12 to 18 weeks a year where people are experiencing distraction. So when people ask me, how do I, cut down the distraction loop? That is a high value question, because if you can minimize distractions in your life, you can literally get anywhere between 12 to 18 weeks of your life back just by learning how to minimize distractions. So the way that we minimize distraction is by having a purpose. Okay, so for me, the way I minimize distraction is I'm very clear on my purpose. What is it that I'm here to do? I'm also very clear on my priorities. What are the priorities that I'm working on this month? But then from there, I extract my priorities down to goals that I'm working on for the week and tasks that I'm working for the day. Because most people, when they experience a distraction, they don't have a list that they're working off. Do they, Maddie? No. Maddie said no. They don't have a list that they're working on. So they experience a distraction. They go, fuck, okay, someone knocked on my door. Okay, I got a notification. First of all, turn notifications off. Now, except for mine. By the way, I have all notifications turned off except for maybe 1 or 2 people on social media, Gary Vaynerchuk being one of them, where I want to know exactly what's going on. But for my advice, turn off all notifications, and I mean it when I say except for mine, because I'm going to provide you some value in most cases that will serve you in that moment serendipitously. However, that being said, when people get distracted, they go, oh shit, what was I doing? And they kind of like look around thinking, what was I doing? And then in most cases, they go for what is easy. They go for the dopamine. See, when we experience distraction, okay, what we're often, in most cases seeking for is we're seeking a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of dopamine, okay, maybe some endorphins. And the way that we do that is we go to our phone, we go to social media, we go to the things that feel good, to the coffee machine, to the gossip center, and we start having conversations that stimulate us in, perhaps non-effective ways. Whereas for me, the moment I am distracted, I was like, fuck, what was I doing? I go straight to my list and I look at my list and I go, what was either the thing that I was working on or what is the thing I need to work on right now? Distraction is bullshit. It's disorganization at its worst. Get yourself on point, clear on your purpose, clear on your mission, clear on your priorities that you're working on for the quarter, for the month. Get clear on the goals that you're breaking down for that week and get very clear on the tasks of the day. And whenever you get distracted, go back to your task list. It's that simple. Stop fucking around. Cat.
Reese Morgan, scound.
Reese. I like Reese because it reminds me of Reese's Pieces.
How do you recruit talent when no one wants to work?
Fuck me. Did you just hear the rant that I just had? How do you recruit talent when no one wants to work? First of all, bullshit. Okay, no one, I want to fucking work. Maddie, do you want to work?
Absolutely.
I've got like 40 people in here that want to fucking work. That is bullshit. You got to remove that. It's not that no one wants to work. It's just some people don't want to work. And those people, honestly, they don't deserve a fucking job. And you know what? I'm going to be vocal about this. You know, I think in order to maintain employment, you must be able, not willing and able to produce more value than you take, or be coached and mentored and trained to be able to produce more value than you take. And if you can't, and if you have no desire to, then like literally go and sell fucking popcorn on the street or something. And no, literally go and plant yourself in a third world country and see what people in a third world country have to do when they decide that they don't want to work or if they don't want to perform. Honestly, that'll shake you up. Go and just walk around the markets in Bangkok or in Thailand and get a bit of an idea in terms of, oh, well, if people in Thailand, they don't want to work, they fucking starve. So anyway, back to the question. How do you find staff? How do you find talent? Well, first of all, you create an amazing talent. Create an amazing culture that attracts talent. You got to be the honeypot. You know, think of talent like bees. And what they do is they fly around and they're looking for sweet stuff. And the sweet stuff to talent, and that there is every single fucking, report out there and what do they call it? Research paper out there that indicates that highly talented individuals are more motivated by a work environment than they are by a paycheck. Okay, that is unanimously correct. And I've experienced this myself. And it's not that you're trying to get the most talented people for the least amount of money. That's not the focus. Don't hear that. What I'm saying is you need to focus on creating the most incredible environment that attracts the bees. Create an incredible environment that attracts the talent. Now, how do you expose that talent? You create a vlog. You create social media content, authentic, transparent content that you can show to the rest of the world. Now, when you do that, which is what we do, then you get inundated in most cases with people that are looking for a job to work in an environment that is really cool. You know, the people that you work for start telling other people, oh my God, the work environment that we have is amazing. You know, in this environment, our CEO, he brings in a personal trainer 4 times a week. You know, he does shopping every week. You know, he buys us breakfast and the food bits to be able to make breakfast, to be able to make lunch. You know, we give them half day off every single month on a Friday. We give them the day off for their birthday. You know, we take them away on a fucking incredible retreat once a year to an incredible place. You know, create an environment that people want to be around. Create an environment that sticks, but ultimately focus on you as a leader, because you as a leader is what will determine the level of vibe and the culture that you create. So it's all on you, bro. If you cannot attract great talent, then this is a question of you. What is it about you that is creating the situation where you don't attract great talent? Because great leaders attract great talent, and great talent attract great clients. And that's just reality. Such random crap. People pay for this. Thank you, Kalazus805. May you go forth and prosper. Go forth and multiply.
Well, that's time's up, actually.
That's time's up. Yeah. That is tough
Unless
love.
you want to do like a really daylight.
No, I have got a very full schedule today, so we got to cut it short. My apologies for running late. And until next time, let me know where you are, whereabouts in the world are you coming from, and we'll catch you very shortly. And like I say always, say hi to your mum for me.
You lot.
Till you next time.